Welcome to Discerning News, where we bring you current stories from a bigger picture perspective. The purpose is to inspire clarity and enthusiasm for your unique journey. So, there's a lot of things seem to be rising up to the surface this week.
Yeah, we're gonna enjoy this one. It's got a good theme, I think, for everybody to connect with.
I think so too. So, Tom, you want to start with what you've been putting together for this week with things rising up to the surface?
Well, I just noticed the stories that sort of catch my eye, and then what I'm reflecting on, like, well, what am I going through personally as I see these things in the news and the energy that's in the environment. Uh, the one that's really struck me, can I go for it? Is
I think so.
the infighting between both the like when within the conservative or right, wing politics and that there's infighting there. And then there's also when you look at the left and the progressive politics, there's infighting there. And it really strikes me how you watch how this is a consistent theme that evolves. And I have to say, it was actually predicted by my friend here, Tiger, who we were just sharing, freely one day, and he said, "Yeah, as the conservatives get more power, you'll probably start to see picked up this insight, like you're going to see this infighting, the civil war type within them." And it always strikes me how people are somewhat oblivious to the energy that they pick up on, and some of the things that they, for example, in the conservative camp, they've really been pushing back against cancellation, culture, and that kind of thing. And wow, now they're starting to do it to each other. So what the heck is going on? And like I say, I'm going to balance this out and say, and yet the left is doing it to each other as well. It's almost like there's no acceptance for a point of view outside of my own, and then we go down that. It descends into those ad hominem attacks or attacks on people personally rather than what are the facts or what concepts are we debating based on our perception of the facts. I mean, at least that's valuable. Or what's my experience been, so here's why I have this point of view. Instead they just go that confused route of attacking each other, which doesn't seems to use up a lot of energy and get nowhere fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the key word that comes to me is control. And it's interesting you say how, when you think of what we're going to share this week, it's always about, okay, kind of what's going on personally, and then kind of looking collectively of what has really, came out during the week. And yeah, there was a situation at work about 2 weeks ago, or maybe a week and a half ago, where one person wanted something done a certain way and it wasn't done that way. And someone kind of stepped over and did a different way. And this person literally cut off a bunch of us from not talking to us. And it's all because
Wow.
of inner control. Like, this person didn't get the control that this person wanted, so they just stopped talking to many of us. And I'm like,
A form of
wow,
cancellation culture.
absolutely. And so it shows up everywhere. And I think it's quite interesting that, to me, it's like a maturity or immaturity. What is the immature um, way that people perceive things, and how do they work with other people? Because this person was a younger person who did this, and it was like it made no sense. So that's what I think about is control and maturity and immaturity.
Yeah, I'm on the same track that you're talking about, Teresa, is because there's the old saying, it's an old saying it's about, the how power corrupts and ultimate power corrupts ultimately and this kind of thing. And yet without me going through those things, I don't learn how to handle my power. That's the irony of the whole situation. It's not the absence of me dealing with that stuff that I gain. It's being in it and moving through it in a wise way, or learning the lessons well, that I know how to work with power. But the key that always stands out to me on this one about the infighting, which, they all do this. I mean, you go to every country that has kind of a system where they vote and they have say, and so for that is to say, meaning it's not a dictatorship, or it's not a one situation focused. It has people putting in their little piece into it, and now there's going to be competing interests, because we work off interests. So the big thing it gets to me is, where's the threat? Like you were bringing up in the green room about how there's this infighting and there's religion behind it, and what the belief, and well, this one is better, and oh no, you're telling us we can't do this or we can do that. It becomes an energy of threat, because power is the focus rather than the means to be of service. So the power itself becomes more important than, oh, I just want to go help, right? How do I do that? Now, obviously, people will say, well, Tiger, I mean, you got to have the power to help, right? So, well, yeah, that's true. You're absolutely right. But let's make sure I know what the end game is, and I know what is the most effective and efficient way to get there. And so everything for me, everything in the universe is already preset up for me. Like, I don't have to fight to work with the rhythms and routines of the universe. It's there for me. Like when the sun comes up, my body gets stimulated. And when the sun goes down, my body starts shutting down, and they've done all the scientific tests to what happens to your body inside as that sun goes down, and what's happening to the body and through the eyes, right? Where they used to say that the eyes is the window of the soul and all that kind of stuff. What happens when that first sunlight starts coming and entering the eye, and how it affects your whole hormonal system. It's pretty amazing. My point for bringing it up is, it's all there perfect for me. And that if I understand that everything is a means to an end, then I know how to handle power. I know that I'm actually here to get from here to there spiritually. That's the point. And so with that in mind, I don't get threatened when someone else is using their power. I don't feel threatened. If I'm feeling threatened, to me, that's the lesson. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling threatened here. Why? They're exerting their power. I have power. I can exert my own power over myself, over my decisions. So anytime I'm feeling threatened, or I'm feeling powerless, I'm not seeing what's really going on. I'm not seeing who I am and what I need to do. I'm more focused on the situation going on and all the machinations of all this stuff, rather than, wait a minute, what is it I really need and want? And then I've got it made.
I love that, especially around the feeling of power and control, because that situation that I had at work going on, I was very relaxed about it, but I recognized and I felt how the person who initiated, how she was trying to control the power, right, that she wanted to initiate and wanted it into place, how uncomfortable she felt. That's my thing, is like, the more I go through my journey and the more I expand into feeling more of how I feel as I move through situations, I can feel what others feel. So I could feel how uncomfortable she was. I could feel how, she was in a place that she didn't know what to do with it. What do I do with this? Because she didn't have control anymore, because someone, initiated another perspective that they wanted to work with, which was the whole group versus just her and her group. So that to me is a big deal, is recognizing for myself, what am I feeling? Like you're saying, am I feeling threatened or am I not feeling threatened? And I wasn't. That's really for myself good.
Yeah.
Because I recognize that I've obviously put something together for myself where I no longer feel threatened by when others act out around situations and try to showcase their power and their control and wanting it to be their way.
Yeah.
We exist in a highly intellectual world, and often the feeling part where your inner wisdom lies gets left out. There's a way to feel more in balance with all parts of yourself. This way is by accessing a spiritual bigger picture of who you are as a soul. Check out the link in the show notes to access a free video series created by the Wayshowers College to support your journey and moving through this game of life. Your intellect and feeling parts will love it.
So I love that our mentor used to say when we would talk about situations like this, he'd say, oh, well, bless them. I mean, they're going to go, that's great. This is for our convenience. And that's a great, like, big picture spiritual reminder that people have to go through, souls have to go through their evolvement, their learning experiences. And all I have to do is be patient. And where I can get caught is in my religious concepts of what's right or wrong, good or bad, or even judging them that they're getting impatient. So whenever those kinds of little emotions come up, I have to kick back. And I like what you said, Teresa, in that you just felt relaxed through the whole thing and you acknowledge it. You go, oh, well, that's interesting. I mean, because really it's 6 of one, or half dozen of the other. And, you've moved beyond in some areas. I'm sure you've moved beyond that. It's not, I feel that way, as a more mature adult walking around the planet. Those things aren't worth fighting over. It's as long as we.
But there was a day.
And let
Oh, yeah.
and let
There was a
people
day.
let people get their experience. One of the things I've noticed at some business opportunities that I have, that I'm dealing with very young managers, and I have to remind myself they're just practicing.
Right.
Because often I can say, boy, the way they regroup me or they set those targets, I mean, why regroup someone on their targets if you haven't told them what their targets are? Like, tell them first, get agreement.
It's a big learning.
I've been through those decades ago. I went through that kind of experience and training. And then I remember I just kind of like, give me a keyword guidance because I'm getting a little stimulated here. And they said, they're just practicing. Like, oh, how can I back them? Let them manage me. Let them, and share what I need to share. But, and what's interesting about all that experience is it seems to have gone away because things have shifted in the business opportunity. And now there's other priorities. And I've lived that enough that I pretty much stay relaxed. I suppose it's like news stories in the news cycle. Just wait a little while and it'll shift to something else,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, before we move on, I'd say that the ultimate is having the power, knowing that I have the power to fulfill my purpose. That is what it comes down to, and that all this other stuff going on around me is okay, because that's what you're saying, Tom. It's like, okay, they're learning, they're figuring it out, and somewhere up the line, I was doing that too.
Yeah.
I can't work on myself personally, spiritually, without having experienced some of that and experience some of that. That's just it's the nature of the game. And if I want to be of service to people, I want to be able to inspire them to stand on their own 2 feet. Because the less people that are at the whim of other people's power, the better, right? Because that is the super highway to personal spiritual evolution. If they are under their own power, they're independent spiritually. They know where they begin and end. It doesn't mean that I separate myself from people. It doesn't mean that there isn't some give and take. In a relationship, you have to, in order to have a relationship, you got to have give and take. I don't like it that you do it that way, but the bigger picture is I like having you in my life, so I'm going to give and take there. So I need society. I need the rules and regulations, and indeed, I need some of the power trips out there that lets people learn and grow. I can be smoothly moving through it, I won't get threatened if I consistently remember that the power is there for me to fulfill my purpose, what I'm going to take with me, and to inspire people that that's their, they have the power to do what they've come to do. They don't have unlimited power to do what other people come to do. And that's where the problems lie. Right? So as long as I inspire people to come back home, as long as I inspire myself to come back, wait a minute, the power I have is to do what I've come to do and inspire people along the way.
Well, talk about inspiration. And my next story, I had a big feeling for this week when I came upon it. So it's the COP30 summit in Brazil, the UN climate talks, which is actually called the 30th conference of the parties to the UN framework convention on climate change. So an interesting thing about this is there were thousands that marched in protest. And this is the first time since 2021 that it's been held in a country that actually permits people to protest. And up until this year, they were in countries where they could not literally protest. And so a lot of it, they showed people, thousands came from around the world, but there were a lot of indigenous people in Brazil that came forward. And we're talking about deforestation, which they are seeing in their backyards, protecting their land, resource extraction. And one had a really interesting quote that I thought was really strong for me. It said, "I'm here because enough is enough with COP meetings and theory. It's time for us to actually act." And shortly before these talks opened, the Brazilian government granted permission to the Brazilian state oil company to start exploring for oil. So for myself, there's been quite a few things I've noticed that have been truths that have been coming up, and people are pissed and they're ready for action. So it feels to me like there's some energy around action, around the movement of enough talk of this crap, enough theorizing, and maybe there are chemtrails or maybe there are oil issues or whatever's going on, but what are we going to do about these things? So open the floor to that. Whoever wants to take the take the bait on that one.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is a good story when you brought it up. Couple things here. As you know, there's a shift in the air with this, in that it was a number one. It was a interesting, like, we've been talking about this for 35 years. It's been on the mainstream. It's been on, but way before that, right? They've been talking the climate change and all that kind of stuff. And
call it history, right?
Yeah.
History of the Earth.
Before that was global warming, and then they changed it to climate change. The point is that we've been talking about this for a while, and there's been a lot of attention, a lot of money has been moved through. And now there's another shift coming, because even Bill Gates has started to shift where the attention is going now, meaning that, look, we put a lot of energy in, it's important, but we need to make sure people on our doorstep aren't starving. Let's make sure we actually put this money where we can immediately make some change. And my point for bringing that up is that is signaling the money's moving. That's a signal, right? If he's saying that publicly, money's starting to change. The amount of money is starting to change. There's movement afoot. And I see that as a positive thing, not because I'm for or against anything on that area, because I personally want a clean environment. I recycle and I do stuff at home, and I like that stuff. I've gone out hunting, and every hunter that I know believes in the environment. That's, people think that, you're a backwoods guy, you're a hick, and you just throw stuff away, and that's not how they think at all. It's
of the land.
They're part of the land. Why I focused in on what you brought up is because as the money changes, if the energy is there for something, the people will come up and action will begin. Right? Like, okay, how do we clean up our backyard? People will do that. If you keep throwing money against a problem, if I keep throwing money against a problem, and I keep having basically the same problem, but at a higher level because there's more money, I'm not addressing the core. It's like, oh, money will fix it. Money will fix it. Money never fixes it. I hate to say, even for the people listening to this, I hate to say it. I mean, I was one of those people once. Oh yeah, let's throw more money at it. That never happens. That never works. Money's not the problem. So the more the money shifts away, if there's energy there, the people will rise to do something about it. That's my first wave on that, is we're going to see the people start to find solutions rather than tossing money, because the money can actually retard the actual change needed rather than the people doing something which will advance it.
And I think with the wave you're talking about and the change that's actually in the midst at the moment, that just brings forth the ability that it's been, since 2021 that people have been able to actually come there and protest and showcase through their voice what's going on in their backyard and how to get some action on this. So that feels to me like part of the change.
Spiritual growth is not a race. It's a gradual progression. You do not have to spend 24 hours a day working on it in order to feel more inner peace, deeper connection to your soul purpose, and feeling more confident in your daily life. The journey is all about balancing your physical and spiritual worlds. These two worlds are supportive for embracing the foundations of the real you. By just investing minutes a day for your spiritual part as you would invest in your house or other areas of your life. To gather more direction, clarity, and a new layer of inner awareness, check out the ebook set created by the Wayshowers College. Link and discount code in show notes.
With regards to Bill Gates, they always say, like, look at the money trail or chase the money. He's invested heavily into artificial intelligence, and that requires enormous data centers and tons of them.
10 times as much than what we have in order to run AI.
Yeah, great fact to pull out, which is good. And so now he's a little soft on nuclear and fossil fuels and
I noticed a change recently.
Interest.
Yeah. So where's his interest? And maybe, and I'm not saying that's like right or wrong. It's just important for me to know what is behind it all and where those motivations come from. And sure, I mean, for me, he never had credibility much in the whole environmental climate change area. However, he's lost even more credibility, I guess, because I always had a feeling something was up there, and now I have the facts to kind of back up what I felt wasn't quite right. Now, the reason I wanted to mention that is with these folks that have decided to protest, their intellectual solutions, and they may have misinformation about what's causing it, and they're looking for somebody to do it for them. And maybe they need that because they need that combined resources to get something to protect their. But what I'm really want to point out is they have that feeling of it's time for action, whether that's completely correct in interpretation or not is not the point. The point is that, oh, there's something there. And so what is it, the action that needs to be taken? Is this something I need to be involved with? But it's not until they stand up for themselves that we'll even move towards a solution. And in fact, it may be the wrong solution that's implemented. It might be overprotection or lack of expansion or lack of progress. But whatever it is, we're going to learn, as we said earlier, we're going to learn and grow through that evolution. And anyway, that's all I have to say about that.
Well, on that, before we move on, I will say that my prediction or my feeling on it is we'll see more solutions on this side of things, of the concern about climate change. And for me, it's more about polluting ourselves that's really, to me, what when I get into this world here, like
about the environment.
About the environment, it's more about polluting ourselves.
Me
I
too.
don't want to pollute myself. My sense is that we're going to see more in the next 10 to 15 years, solutions wise, than we will have seen in the last 35, because the energy is shifting, because now the money's moving to something else, AI or whatever it is, because the money's starting to drain out. Now the people are going to start standing and they're going to find solutions, right, that will work. How are we going to keep all this trash in our bay out, right? Mm-hmm. People will start working together as a team, which that's happening now, but it's going to start expanding. So I think there's going to be more solutions in the next 10, 15 years than there has been in the last 35.
Yeah. And the word that comes to me about all this is, again, that word of truth.
Yeah.
And that on so many levels, on so many stories, in so many areas right now on the planet, truths are rising and people are getting more inquisitive. They're feeling that something's not right, or something, is different than what I was told initially. And this is going back to vaccines. It's going back to chemtrails. It's going to the environment. It's going to everything. Like, you name it, it's up right now.
Yeah.
What we eat, the food we eat, the dyes we work with.
Extraterrestrials. One of my favorites.
Tom always likes bringing those extraterrestrials.
UFOs. UAPs.
That's right. Everything. It's just, I don't know. I'm excited. It's an exciting feeling for myself that of, I know there's so much going on, and sometimes a lot of people I know are very like, oh God, this is the worst time to be on the planet. There's so much bad here going on. I'm like, well, there is, but we signed up for this, right?
I was just going to say, well, you chose it.
We chose it. We chose to be here right now and to be in the midst of all the changes. So I don't know. I'm excited about all that's happening, and I want to share one last final really exciting thing that I found, a story, and it's from actor Gary Sinese, who's the guy who played the lieutenant in
Lieutenant Dan
in Forrest Gump. Yeah,
Forrest Gump. So he donated $1 million to transform a Nashville church into a haven center for veterans. It's a place to process trauma through art, music, writings, and creative expression. And this excited me so much. I kept reading into it, and I was like, whoa. At one point, before they even really started the process of this, vandals came in, broke the windows, destroyed the inside, the interior, and the two people who were in charge of it were almost like, oh, we're not going to do this. But then they said, you know what? We need to ask for help.
That's right.
And the help came, and they just started doing it, and it's on. It's fully on. So this was to me, a really story of hope. And in the midst of, other people and confused energies that want to come in and throw a wrench in things or destroy things, there's still a way to really get those things created. Yeah.
I mean, there's an old saying. It says that nothing can stop an idea as time has come. And when to me, all these things you brought up have a very strong connection and theme to them, which we'll wrap up with. But this is a beautiful example of a way shower, person showing the way, inspiring other way showers. And that is such a. Sinese has been very consistent about helping. In the United States, helping the American veterans. And so that's been a bit of his major pet project that he does. But the fact that it goes back to that energy of people helping people, and despite the challenges, despite this, in this case, all this vandalization, and they vandalized these beautiful stained windows and stuff in the church and stuff, which is very difficult to replace. But the point is that the energy was there and is there to go be of service and help people. And all they had to do was ask. The energy was there. So for me, this is a great reminder that if I just stay in the middle of the river, that stay on in my inspiration and what do I want to be a part of, I'll start attracting the right people. I'll start attracting the money I need. I'll start attracting being at the right place at the right time to do what's needed. And so it's a great story. It's a simple story. It's a real simple article, actually, but it was just a magnificent to say that here is people who want to help. And it wasn't just like, oh yeah, we're going to help you with your leg or something. Like, this is like, they want to help them with their artistic side of things and work through the traumas that they've got. It was a pretty cool thing. So the idea of being of service and helping, like they're tapped into something, and then here comes solutions, right? So it really is being aware of that, and remembering that a way shower will breed other way showers. A way shower will inspire other people. So being an example, being inspired, that will inspire others to do the same.
As the Earth's crust shifts and changes, our lives do the same. One way to maneuver through the small and large moments that shake us to the core is by reviving your connection to spirit, gathering ways to cleanse your energy field, embracing spiritual awarenesses to give you a bigger picture, and knowing that you are not alone on your journey can be a great support. The Soul Quake Survival Guidebook is a great companion to meet you where you're at and support reviving your connection to spirit in earth-shaking times. Get your copy today through Amazon worldwide in paperback, ebook, or in audio, and begin embracing more clarity, inner peace, and enthusiasm for your life and what you've come to do.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm reminded when there's energy there, how easy things, are. And that's what I get out of what you're sharing is it's like, oh, there's energy there. Follow that inspiration. Now it may not eventuate, or the progress is not going to unfold the way I was hoping or that I interpreted. But if I had that feeling, just follow that because there's energy there, and that helps me just relax. Like, oh yeah, I'm being reminded. Your story is reminding me of a truth that I already know, and I guess that's the big, lesson for me is just be relaxed while people move through their, uh, the stages of the unfolding of the greater, bigger picture, or the greater. Now there's a greater community of people that get to contribute with this. And I get this feeling as, I'm sharing about it that, wow, now that solution can really expand because these other folks were brought into it. And, that's not always apparent to me intellectually when I don't see things progressing easily from one step to the next step to the next step.
Right.
If there's a feeling I have there, I guess over the years, I've often said, I just have to trust it. I'm not sure how it's going to unfold exactly. It may even seem like a week later, like, oh, geez, I don't ever see that happening, but then other things, move around in the spiritual energy. I suppose that would be the key statement for hope for everybody in all these situations, because so much of this is the same old, in a sense of, say the last 50 years that I've been, observing our society and planet Earth is I have had those times when I had a feeling for something. I kind of knew it was going to eventuate, and I wasn't sure how. Teresa likes to say, I'm not sure it's how it's going to look. I had my idea of how I wanted it to look, but and then it became true, and I was like, oh my God, I had that feeling, So even in a recent business opportunity is a good example where, I had some opportunity, then it was over with, the contract ended. And then I said, but I feel like there's something more there. I can just feel it. This is not making intellectual sense to me so much. And lo and behold, a few months later or 4 or 5 months later, bang, oh, there was more opportunity there. And it's like I never left. So there's one real world experience.
Yeah, for myself, I think it's about community. And, because if that vandalism didn't happen, that didn't open up a whole new realm of other people to come in and give support and to recognize that old phrase, it takes a village, right? And that it takes a village to make something amazing, more than you probably could have ever even imagined. And the connections they probably have from people that step forward when they ask for help. So that to me is a big deal, because there's oftentimes, I know many of us feel like we go through life and we're all alone, or how can I ever get that done? Like, how could that ever even happen? Well, it can, especially if you've got, you're working with your spiritual helpers, you're working with spirit, you've got that consistency, you're staying on it, and you're moving forth that energy. And then even when a hiccup or a confusion comes in to throw off, like, destroys the inside, well, maybe it actually made it even better inside. Maybe there were actually more supportive, better windows than what was there previously. So, things like that too. So that's how I look at it, is that just that ability to have a community come back and really back everything, then sometimes we don't realize is actually there.
Can I add a couple of things?
Well, would you like to add, Tom?
I'd like to add that, number one, like what was on my mind is that, boy, that's a good sign that those vandals came in and wanted to destroy that place.
Something's happening there, right?
And how many times in my life when that confusion shows up and you go, what the hell? Why did that just start falling apart?
It's a sign.
That's right.
Many times, I'm getting chills now as we share. That's a good sign I'm on the right track.
Right.
Now I need to stay cleansed, tune into my guidance, and really tune into, solutions.
Nobody kicks a dead dog.
Yeah.
Whether you are a brand new or returning fan of this podcast, we appreciate you. We appreciate you listening to the episodes that we create every single week. If you would love to support us by continually creating great content every week, please consider liking, subscribing, and supporting us monthly. You can find the buttons below to do all the above. Cheers to you and moving into our 6th year of sharing through podcasting.
Okay, so wrapping up, what do those 3 stories have in common with one another?
Yeah, for me, this is a real prelude to what we need to do, what I need to do this week. This is a great lessons for me. The first one is, there's an old Asian saying, it says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, right? The second best time is today. And what that means to me is, I can look at what should have been. I can look at what could be, but I need to do something today, right? I need to be involved today. What am I building today? So that's the first thing. Of all these stories, I see that there's this common denominator of people acting, starting to do, right? Just be involved. For me to be willing to make some mistakes and recognize that, as long as I have a positive or powerful attitude, then those broken glass, well, that's a real darn shame. Let's get some better glass up there. It's like, do something to shift the energy, because not all they're out there, I want to be involved in that positive thought. I want to be involved in that. Am I going to have my ups and downs? You betcha. Are my thoughts going to sometimes betray me? Yes, they will. I'll get angry. I'll get sad, whatever. I will. But I come back home to the attitude I want to be a part of, the energy, the vibration I want to be a part of, right? And then remembering that it's all a means to an end. The other thing is about getting involved, and everything's a means to an end, right? My relationships, my car, my money, these politics, all this stuff, it's all a means to an end to help me do what I've come to do. And so there's something for me that's going to go on this week that now that I've discerned all that of what's coming out, now I can apply it this week. I can start saying, great, no matter what comes at me, it's all a means to an end, and it's about me doing today.
So for myself, it's about showing up through consistency. and continually showing up no matter if the vandals come in, no matter if there's infighting amongst people that I'm around that want to throw off the whole situation. Stay consistent, show up every day, kind of like you're saying, like be in the present moment. The present moment's all that matters, and staying relaxed as I move through things. Because, you know, the people that were protesting, you know, they were in a state, the guy who obviously, the two people that were working on the church were in a state when they got vandalized. So was the people who were infighting with people. But for myself, looking at situations from the outside in, staying relaxed with it.
Right.
That's key for myself. And the keys about the 3 we came up with today.
My summary comment is you never know whether it's a good thing or it's a bad thing, some of these things that happen. And as a friend of mine has reminded me a couple of times, you know, that we'll see. We'll see whether that was, you know, a good step. It's the step that probably needs to be taken. It wouldn't have been my preference in my perfect little picture world as a visionary. You know, I want it to go nicely and harmoniously, but we don't know until we get to the other end of it, whether, you know, even the positive things we think are the good things, you know, you never really know until you're sort of down the road a bit. And I guess I take hope in that, okay, it's a little more involvement and a little more, you know, aware. This is all part of the game. A little more needs to happen for the positive solutions to unfold in the timing, you know, that I'd like to see them.
There we go. Another episode down. So thanks again for listening in to another episode of Spiritual Perspective, Discerning News. We hope that you got some insights around showing up, being consistent, power, you know, really recognizing where you're at and where others are at, and rocking your journey. And we'll be back soon for another episode. Take care. To keep the enthusiasm going, please like, subscribe, or comment below. We would love to hear from you.